All right, so today we're talking about running Instagram ads. Some of the cool things you can do with this is what we're going to show is how to run Instagram ads, but this will work for Facebook. This will work for their audience network. All these ads are run out of the same area in the ads manager. So we'll show you this, and again, Instagram is going to be your best friend when it comes to looking for people since it's such a visual platform. But we do have some luck on Facebook depending on what the shop is looking for. Like if you're looking for bigger pieces, stuff with more money, Facebook at this point is now kind of an older audience, as much as I hate to say that. So it can work. So again, everything you learned today, you can apply to either or. Let's get into it. So this is all part of our tattoo shop growth program. We do a bunch of stuff when it comes to marketing for tattoo shops. So this is just going to be one of the aspects. Everything we talk about today, though, will be stuff that we do, that we have done. You'll see in a little bit. None of this is theory. This is stuff that we have seen work and have the data behind it to show it's good. Oops, wrong button. Okay, so if you're serious about learning how to run Instagram ads, like again, we're going to show you some of the reasoning. We're going to show you some of the analytics, kind of why we set certain things up, how to set them up, and then we'll actually build out an ad. So if you want to learn how to run ads, like pay attention, take some notes. We will be sending out a replay after this, but let's be honest, nobody's going to watch it. I've got a graveyard of webinar replays in my email that I have never watched. So it's definitely best if you're here right now to actually take notes on this stuff. And again, especially when we're actually building out an ad in the ads manager, that kind of stuff is worth its weight in gold. All right, so what we're going to actually cover today, the Meta Ads Manager, boosting posts versus paid Instagram ads, Google ads versus IG ads, when you should use IG ads, campaign types that work for tattoo shops, iOS 14 in the future of Instagram ads, which is a fairly interesting subject with Apple's been doing a lot to block tracking from any type of Meta, Instagram, Facebook kind of platform. So it's been interesting to see how it's evolved. It's kind of been a cat and mouse game. We'll talk about data sets, which is formerly the pixel, building an actual ad, and then after that, we will give you a chance to run if you don't want to hear about it, but we'll tell you what we do, how much we cost, all the stuff we do for the shops we work with. And again, if you're not interested, not a big deal at all. What we're going to teach you, like we're not going to leave bits out like, oh, you're not going to get the secret sauce of how this works. We're going to teach you everything we do when it comes to Instagram ads. And then after that, we'll answer questions. All right, so who am I? My name is Jesse Drock. I am the owner of InkLink. We're a marketing company that only works with tattoo shops. Currently, we work with over 70 shops here in the US and then a few internationally. Over the last 4 years, I have used online marketing, Instagram ads, Google ads, all this stuff that we teach and we do for other shops to build $2 million a year businesses. And my last business venture that I started just about a year ago hit a little over 6 figures in about 2.5 months. So again, what we're teaching is a theory. It's stuff that we do for the shops. It's stuff that I've done to grow my own businesses. And it's stuff that works really, really well when done correctly. And then last year we spent over $2 million just on ad spend between us and everybody we work with. I always get this question. Yes, I do have tattoos. I got my first tattoo 19 years ago when as you guys know, the industry was very different than it is now. Let's see. And these are some of the guys that work with in Wenatchee. I always like to put up that tattoo picture first because people see this and like, you guys don't have any tattoos. Like half of us in Wenatchee are, half of us are not. And so why is this stuff important? So, I mean, everybody's seen how fast the industry has grown the last couple of years, especially post-COVID. Well, it's projected to double again from, I think last year was 1.9 billion. It's going to hit 4 billion by 2030. and you can Google Forbes tattoo industry and the article will come up about it. There's a bunch of more technical ones if you want to look into them. But the Forbes one does a pretty good job of explaining it. Most tattoo shops aren't running their ads correctly. In fact, almost none are. The results don't bring in the clients you want. You just get a lot of tire kickers, a lot of people that don't answer messages. And the bottom line is you're wasting money when that's happening. And again, this isn't theory. This isn't some woo-woo like, hey, how to make more money, raise your prices, stuff like that. Everything that we do, everything that we show is backed by data. Again, working with over 70 shops now, we have a lot of data on what works, what doesn't work. And so what we teach is the stuff that we know works every time. Quick question. Put a 1 in the chat if you're currently running ads and 2 if you're not on Instagram. And ads includes boosted posts. Curious. Okay. All right, so we've got a pretty good mixture of people. Okay, cool. Good. All right, so first thing I want to talk about is the Meta Ads Manager. If you've ever heard me talk before, you know how much I dislike boosting posts off of Instagram, and we'll go into why. But I just want to show you how to get to this, and if you don't, how to set it up. Because this is how we run all the ads for all the shops that we work with. This is how you should be running your ads. And again, we'll get into why. And so what is it? It's essentially a place for you to run your ads to Instagram, Facebook, Messenger, or the audience network. And the audience network is when you go to like a news website and you see those ads on the side, that's the audience network. It's the same as the display network for Google, essentially. But running ads inside of the ad manager gives you so many more options, so many more analytics. It's really the missing piece for a lot of shops when it comes to running ads, is not using this and not setting up the back end. Like making the image and showing off your tattoos, that's the easy part, really. And it's the part that when done correctly and shown to the right audience, it will do a lot. But again, almost nobody uses this. So there's 2 ways to get to it. And actually, let me pull this up real quick and I will put this in the chat. The first way is to actually go to adsmanager.facebook.com, and I'll throw that in the chat really quick. And that should take you to it. If you don't have one, it will ask you to make one. You don't have to do it right now, but it's good to know where it is. Or if you log into your page, your Facebook page, on the right-hand side, you'll see Ads Manager, and that will take you to the same place. But that's what it looks like. Is anybody, put a 1 in the chat if you're running ads out of that. Okay, yeah, so. Okay, a few of you are, that's awesome. That makes it a lot better because almost nobody does. If you don't have access to your Facebook, so this is kind of independent. Meta likes to make things super complicated. If you don't have access to your Facebook, you can create a new one. This is essentially, it's separate from the page, and it's in the actual business manager. But if you're having issues finding it or getting access, let us know. There's ways to get access back to your Facebook page and stuff. It's just a pain in the ass through Meta. Okay, so boosted IG posts versus actual paid ads. A lot of shops run boosted posts. It's what we see the majority of them doing, not actually doing paid ads. And there is a time and a place for boosted posts. I'm not saying they are terrible all the time. It's just not the best way to do it at all. Click, come on, there we go. Okay, so talking about boosted posts to good, easy to set up. Super simple, anybody can do it. It's kind of like smart mode for Google Ads. It's essentially foolproof. You let Instagram do all the targeting. You just have to put in a few couple simple things. And and Instagram will do the rest. So the good thing is it's super simple to set up. The bad is you lose about 90% of your targeting options. And that's where the money is in Instagram ads. The targeting is the most important part of any campaign. Not just on Instagram, but also on Facebook, also on Meta, also on Google, also on TikTok. I mean, it doesn't matter how good your ad is or how much it will resonate with the correct audience if it's going to the wrong audience and you're showing this to like 65-year-old ladies retired in Florida, that there's a very, very small chance that they're going to get a tattoo. So targeting is really everything. More bad things, not many options for the budget. You can't schedule posts. Like you can put an end date, but you can't put like, hey, I want this to start running this date. And if you pick the, hey, boost this for $5 a day for 10 days, if your ad's doing well and it's getting results, you don't want that to shut off. You want it to run as long as you can. And I know there is an option in there to just let it run indefinitely now, that something they added within the last year. But unless you're just trying to get more eyeballs in your shop, you're not actually trying to get people in, do not put an end date to your post, to your ad. Because even if it does really well, for some reason, just how Instagram is, you would think, okay, it shut off, I'll turn it back on, it'll do fine. It never does as well the second time. It never does even close to as well. So you want to get as much out of it as you can. And again, that's, I don't know, some kind of Instagram algorithm thing. And again, there's no real good reporting or analytics. How to make an ad better or your ads better is to look at the analytics and see how well things did. And it's very, very limited in boosted posts, mostly clicks, impressions, stuff like that. So IG through the actual Meta Ads Manager, the good. One, you have a ton of different campaign types. And again, something we'll get into a little bit more. In boosted posts, I believe you only have 3: brand awareness, conversion, and messenger. All of targeting options Meta has. Again, this is the biggest power of Instagram, is they know like a creepy amount about us, but they're going to know it either way. Use it to your advantage. Use it. They know when somebody is looking for a tattoo shop. So that's the power in it. And you can split test images, copy, which is the words, placement, and audiences. Another one of the really powerful things. We never run just one ad. We never target just one audience. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. But split testing is going to be, again, how you find your best campaigns and your best ads. The bad, though, steeper learning curve. After you set it up a few times, it gets fairly easy, but there is a steeper learning curve. It's nothing like Google Ads. That's nuts. But it takes more time, obviously, than boosting a post, and you're going to have to watch a few more YouTube videos, or you'll know how to do it when you're done with this. You need to take time to actually create the ad, since you're not boosting a post that's already there. The good and the bad with that is, one, you can actually create the ad to speak to the audience you want. The bad is you have to create the ad. And I mean, you can use something like Canva that's free, but it is more time consuming. And you need to make sure you set up your pixel, which are now called data sets. Again, Meta likes to make things as confusing and complicated and change stuff as often as they can. But if that's not set up, you're not going to know how well your ads are working. So boosted posts, and we do this for ourselves, and it's not a bad way to do it. It's great for brand awareness. It's great to just get eyeballs on your shop. It's dirt cheap. It works way better than any kind of traditional media, because at least you have a few targeting options. You can target people that are within 15 miles of your shop that like tattoos, stuff like that. And with how cheap it is, I think it's like $10 to show it to 1,000 people, something along those lines. So it's dirt cheap, and that's a great thing to use boosted posts for. But those aren't going to be people that are looking to get a tattoo for the most part anytime soon. But it's really good for if you're going to do an event or something like that to just get eyeballs on it. So if you are going to run boosted posts, there's better ways to do it than most shops are. And again, that comes down to targeting and the kind of campaigns. You can do visit your profile. That's great for getting followers and again, letting people know about your shop. That's all we use this for, is brand awareness. It's great if you have 50,000 followers, but they're all over the world. Doesn't do a ton for your shop or your artist or yourself. But if you boost your post and you get more Instagram followers and you're targeting within 10, 15 miles of your shop, those are people that can actually come in. Then it becomes worth it. Then it becomes a good investment. It's not going to bring people in immediately, but for how much it costs, like, all shops should be doing this. Still prefer to do it out of Ads Manager because you get so many more targeting options. But if you are going to do this, that's how. Who do you want to see your ad, suggested audience, or create your own? We always do create your own. Again, we'll put in location. We'll put in as much as we can to narrow it down to people that only like tattoos. Again, the interest that you see here in the middle one is still fairly limited. You can't do by like income, stuff like that, but it's better than just letting Instagram pick who it thinks is going to want to interact with your shop. It's getting better as the tattoo industry grows. Like, this works decently well if you were going to do suggested audience for like plumbing or like a giant event or something like that, because Meta has a lot of info on those. But as the industry grows, this is getting better. For now, though, yeah. Created audience, try to get at least 50,000 people if you can. More the better for the most part until you hit over 1 million. Then it gets a little too broad, but you want to try to at least hit 50,000 in there. And then you can either let this ad run until pause, which is what we recommend, or you can set a duration. Durations are good if you have like a guest artist coming in, if you have an event coming up. So you can make sure that shuts off the day of, and then you're not wasting money. But again, this is still way inferior to doing it actually out of the Meta Ads Manager. All right, so Google Ads versus Instagram ads. Which one is better? And the answer is it kind of depends. We'll go over both, but we do both for the shops we work with. And some will only do Google, some will only do Instagram ads. Depends how the shop's set up. There's no one size fits all. There's better ways to do things, but again, a street shop that will do little bangers and stuff like that is different from a geometric artist that only does, $1,000 minimum or something like that. And so you can't treat them the same. So Google Ads, the good, it's actually people looking for a shop. And that's one of the most powerful things with Google Ads. It's somebody going to Google, looking up tattoo shops near me. So they're actually in that buying mood. They want to know versus someone just scrolling through a phone and you see your ad and then you start to get more flakes, especially if the targeting isn't right. But that's one of the best things about Google Ads is it's people looking for a tattoo shop that are within driving distance of your shop. They're easy to scale after a few weeks. So it doesn't burn out like Instagram ads do with the creative. I'm sure everybody's seen an ad way more times than I want to, and find after the third or fourth time you just scroll by it. You don't even stop and look, even if it's something you might be interested in. And that's just how our brains are. We start to essentially just dismiss things that we've already seen that aren't new and exciting and prevalent. We have a very limited attention span. So they're easier to scale in the fact you don't have to replace creatives. Google Ads aren't set it and forget it though. Actually, in expert mode, there's a lot more that goes behind the background. But also cost effective. When done correctly, to get somebody to call your shop from Google versus calling your shop from Instagram is about the same price, or to fill out a form on your website. So they are about the same. And if you're not seeing that, then something needs to be changed with your ads, either on Google or Instagram. So the bad of Google Ads, again, smart mode and expert mode. Smart mode is like boosting a post. You're going to lose a ton of the targeting options, and you're essentially going to let Google pick what's going on. Expert mode, you can get really granular with it, who's going to see your ads, what they're looking for, stuff like that. Extremely steep learning curve when done correctly. Very steep learning curve. That is actually one of the things we teach it. I think our webinar last month or 2 months ago was on running Google Ads. Still recommend hiring somebody that actually knows the industry and that has worked with tattoo shops if you're going to do expert mode in Google. It's a lot. It's just a lot. It takes longer, especially if either you have a new account or let's say you hire somebody and they don't have a big familiar or they're not super familiar with the tattoo industry, or they only work with a couple shops. Like even when we launch it, it can take 1 to 2 weeks to get going, which for Google Ads is extremely fast. But with somebody that doesn't know it and they need to do all this testing, we're talking 3 to 6 months before you're really going to start seeing good results from it. So that's one of the biggest issues with Google Ads. If you don't know what you're targeting, if you don't have the data that already shows you how this works, it just takes freaking forever. And it can be more complicated with their tracking, especially if you're setting it up for phone calls. And again, we did a webinar a couple months ago on Google Ads. I think it's on YouTube. So if you're interested, look that up. Now, Instagram ads, easier to set up even in the ads manager. And again, you do it a couple times, you'll have it down usually. Amazing targeting options. Again, you can target people by how much they make, obviously what they like, and we'll get into this a little bit later, you can upload a past client list, like everybody that's coming and filled out your waiver, into Meta, and then it will only show the ads to people that look like your past clients. If you do that, plus filter by how much they make, that is a recipe for an extremely profitable ad. And then again, good for bigger pieces because you can target by income. You can't do that on Google until you've spent over $50,000 in your account. I don't know why they do that, but you can do that immediately with Meta advertising. Out of curiosity, does anybody in here target by one, either a lookalike audience, or two, by income? Let's see, let me actually go over and see this. Okay. Yeah, income's a big one. That gets a little bit. That gets rid of a lot of the tire kickers, the price shoppers, the people looking for a $6 minimum shop is targeting by income. Yes, you can do both. And that's where the real power in the targeting comes in. You can have it shown to essentially your past clients, but then you can also add a filter that they have to be in the top. You can do 50%, 25%, 10%, 5% of incomes. And then that's where the magic is. Yeah. Targeting by income is a game changer. Now, the bad about Instagram ads, it's not people looking for tattoos. That's when people go to Google, especially locally. It's hard to get, unless you're running a paid ad, it's hard to get people that are interested in tattoos to just randomly see your stuff, especially with the algorithm changes Instagram made in about a year and a half ago, and then they keep doing it. They're trying to be more like TikTok, and it's just, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen how much your engagement has gone down the last 2 years, year and a half. And that's changes they're making on the back end. It hasn't been good for shops and shop owners. Time consuming. Ads will burn out depending on how much you're spending, how big your audience is. They can burn out in a week, 2 weeks, a month. It just depends. There's a thing called frequency you can look at, and that will tell you. Usually if it's over 2, you'll start to see them burn out. And also Instagram, aka Meta, is notorious for making changes and just not telling people. You just go in there and one day something's different, or you've lost targeting options, or you can't find your ad account because they moved it, or they changed the pixel to be called data sets now. And it's I swear they do it so you have to get a hold of support, and then support tries to like get you to spend more money. I'm like 90% sure that's why they do it. Okay, so when do we use Google Ads for tattoo shops? Street shops, or shops that do multiple styles. Okay with doing everything from bangers to bigger pieces. Have at least $1,000 a month budget. That's another thing with Google, is you do need a good chunk of change to really start getting traction there. Shop answers their phone. A boggles my mind how often a phone will ring when a shop is open and they don't pick it up. I get that people are tattooing or they don't have a front desk person, but then don't have people call your shop, especially from Google. If you needed a plumber, you wanted a plumber, you went to Google, you called someone, they didn't pick up, you're not sitting there waiting for them to call you back. You're not even going to leave a message. You're just going to hang up and you're going to call the next plumber on the list. Same thing for tattoo shops. Or you use our bot, and I'll get into that later. We have a AI booking bot that uses ChatGPT 4, and I'll show you some of the conversations. It's really good at booking consultations. Or your shop has a front desk person. Shop has a good front desk person, or again uses our bot. With Google and all this, it's definitely speed to lead, and another thing that we'll cover. When we use Instagram ads for shops, single artist or shop does a single style. Like we have a handful of geometric artists, geometric shops, artists down in California who only does large black and gray realism. So it depends. You always want bigger pieces. It's definitely easier to filter out people that don't have the money or aren't looking for bigger pieces when you're using Instagram. And again, because you can target by people that have more income. Shop has a big enough budget to do Instagram and Google ads. That's something, if you have the budget, I do recommend. You never want to put all your eggs in one basket, especially with the changes these companies are known for making. Again, something we'll talk about in a little bit, but if you have the budget, run both. And also if artists want to book out for conventions. So it's really easy to run an ad in a different city before you're going to a convention to get booked out. Google ads, it takes some time to get up and running. It's got to be people looking up the right words. So definitely a way better idea if you travel a lot for conventions to run Instagram ads to get booked out. Can you guys not hear me? Can anybody hear me? I can, I guess. It's not very loud. Okay, let me see if I can. Ooh, that's really close to my face. Okay, is that better? I'll talk a little bit louder too. I tend to get rolling and then I slowly get a little bit quieter for some reason. Okay, cool. Hopefully this is a little bit better. Okay, weird. Yeah, I'll try to talk a little bit louder too. So other reasons to use Instagram ads. Again, building that local audience is a really good thing Instagram can be used for. You don't have a big budget. This isn't like Google where we suggest $1,000 a month at least. With Google or with Instagram, like if you're just a single artist, if you can spend at least $10 a day, you can start to get some pretty good traction with that. So it's definitely better for single artists, smaller shops, but at least $10 a day, and then let an ad run for at least 2 to 3 weeks before you decide to make any changes or shut it off. It's really easy to see after 3 days that an ad hasn't done anything, and you're like, oh my goodness, okay, this isn't working. You've only spent $30 though, so you don't really know. Instagram, Meta is extremely smart. They know a lot about us. I've seen ads that didn't get a single consultation request that hit $110, and then the next 2 days they bring in 12 to 13 of them. Let it run for at least a minimum of $150 before you decide to make any changes or shut that stuff off. No website, or you don't have a landing page. A landing page, if you don't know, is a one-page website that is tailor-made for the kind of audience you're targeting, and that's what we do when we work with a shop. We'll build out a landing page. Because you can have them message you, you can fill out a form on Instagram or Meta to have them contact you. We'll get into that as well. It's not preferred, but it's better than nothing. And locals don't know about your shop. I mean, okay, if you've had a shop for at least a year, put a 1 in the chat if you've heard somebody say, oh, I didn't know your shop was there. It's crazy. It's crazy. We've talked to shops that have been in their location for 12 years and they still hear that. Oh, I didn't know your shop was there. Typically, shops don't have, I mean, it's not like a McDonald's sign where it's giant, it's 15 feet up. People just, I don't know. So this is a really, really good way to let people know about your shop for dirt cheap. Way cheaper than something like traditional marketing, radio, billboards. It's cheaper, excuse me, and you get to pick the targeting. So you're only showing it to people that are interested in tattoos. So it's pretty awesome as far as that go. All right, we're going to talk about the campaign types that work for tattoo shops. As you can see, there are a bunch of different campaign types, but there's only a few that we use. So we'll talk about those. So leads is the main one. This is where you do your instant forms. If you don't have a website, you can essentially have people fill out a consultation request form still on the platform without leaving it. They're dirt cheap, but you get really, really low quality people. Even if you're going by budget, even if you're going to a lookalike audience, you still get really, really low quality people that there's not a lot of intent behind it. So don't recommend using these. Messenger, so you have people message you. It works better than leads. But with this, it's one of those things like if you can't answer within like 5 minutes of somebody text or messaging you, it doesn't work very well. And you still get a decent amount of price shoppers, conversions. This is what we do. This is sending somebody to a landing page or a website and having them either call the shop or fill out a form that's 8 to 10 questions. The only problem with that is you need a website or a landing page and you have to set up the tracking correctly. But that is the best. You want to add at least a couple of steps between somebody seeing your ad and being able to contact you, because you'll get rid of so many of the uninterested people. If you just add, I mean, humans are lazy creatures. You add 1 or 2 steps, they have to click, they have to go to a landing page, then they have to fill out a form. You'd be amazed how many people you lose from that. Form submission does count as a conversion. Yes. And then calls is another option. 95% of the time, the person is going to accidentally have hit the button and not actually call your shop. Doesn't work super well. And the same kind of thing. They didn't go to a landing page. It's easy for them. We want to put a little bit of resistance before they can get a hold of the shop. Not a lot, but a little bit. And that will get rid of a lot of those, again, window shoppers and people like that. So awareness campaigns. Oops, clicked that a little too fast. The only 2 that we will use is reach and brand awareness. So I'm gonna let you guys know I changed the color of the slides right before, like an hour before we did this, and so now some of the text apparently has been faded into the background. But I'll just tell you, we used to use reach a lot more. Now we only do brand awareness, and again, that's just letting people know about your shop. If you get the targeting in there correctly, that's perfect. That's what you want. Get that lookalike audience, or at least go into there and let people like go by interest, tattoo machine, Ink Master, Inked magazine, stuff like that. And then you'll get to show these people again. It's like 1,000 people will see your ad for $10. So it's really, really cheap to run a brand awareness campaign. And this is something, I mean, you can run $2 a day and just leave it on for a month, 2 months, something like that. Again, just making sure it doesn't burn out with creative. But it's extremely cheap, extremely effective way to get people to know about your shop. And again, if you hear people say, hey, I didn't know your shop was there, this is the key to change that. Traffic, we don't use this. It's good if you like have an article you want somebody to read, stuff like that, but it's not something we use. You can send people to an Instagram page. Again, it's just if you're already running on Instagram, brand awareness is all you need. Engagement, another thing we don't do. I don't care how many video views or how many views a video gets. I don't care how many people clicked on an ad or hearted it or liked it. I care about how many people filled out a form. I care about how many people called the shop and how many people ended up in the shop. That's one of the things to know if you ever work with a marketing company and they're showing you all like, hey, look at all the impressions you got, look how many clicks you got, look what the cost per click was. Like, it's really easy, really easy to make those things look really good on paper. But if it doesn't end up in somebody coming into your shop, I mean, who cares? That's the big thing with, unfortunately, I have to say, a lot of marketing companies is they'll show you these awesome graphs that look super good because they're going like straight up, but it doesn't actually mean anybody ended up in your shop. It just means people saw your ad. Okay, and again, app promotion. Most tattoo shops don't have apps. Sales, that's like e-com stuff. So if you do have like merchandise, stuff like that, you can use sales, but still leads with setting up the pixel correctly is going to be a better way to do that. So metadata sets. This is extremely important. It's fairly easy to set up, and there's so much you can do with it. It's a must if you're going to run Instagram ads and send people to your website or your landing page. And data sets used to be called the pixel. Again, that's something that changed in the last couple months because Meta likes to do Meta shit. Okay, so what is a data set? It is a piece of code that you put on your website so Meta, Instagram knows who went to your website. It's extremely important if you are having somebody fill out a form on your website to have it not only on your global header, so it's on all pages, but there's a special little piece of code to have on your thank you page. And that's what tells Instagram that person filled out a form. Because even though you are putting a lookalike audience, if you have one, even though you are still filtering down by how much those people make and you have this really good audience, the more Instagram can see about the people that are actually filling out the form, the better it will be able to target the people inside of your audience. So it's a must. It's a must because without that too, you don't really know how much how much a consultation request is costing you. If you're running multiple ads, which you should be, you don't know which one is doing the best. But so this is a must, and we're not going to get super far into it. But why is it important? Again, it lets Meta know who your ideal client is. If you want to do any type of retargeting, somebody hits your website, that is the way to do it using a data set. You can build a lookalike audience off of the people that have gone to your website. So it's another powerful thing. It's not as good as a past client list, but if you don't have one of those, this works pretty well. And again, like I said, if you're sending people off Instagram to a website, to a landing page, this is a must. Again, so it's fairly easy to set up. There's a million YouTube videos on it. It doesn't take very long. And even if you're not going to use it for like retargeting or a lookalike audience right now, it'll take you with YouTube videos probably 20, 30 minutes to set up. And then if you do use it in a year or something like that, it already has all this data of the people that have already come into your shop or gone to your website, I'm sorry. But there's no reason not to set this up. Spend the 30 minutes or hire someone on Fiverr for $10 to do it, something like that. But get this set up and set up properly. There's a lot of times we'll go into an ad account for a shop we're going to start working with, and they have it set up, but it's so like the conversions aren't set up correctly. So just making sure it's set up correctly, and it's definitely worth it. Doesn't Wix have that? Wix probably has a place that you can install it, but the code, or it might have an integration too. There's a few that have integrations like Typeform does. So, but it'll still need your data set number, its ID essentially, and usually an access token. But yeah, a lot of the website builders and stuff will have an integration, so you don't actually have to install the code. That's a good point. All right, things to remember when running Instagram ads. Split testing is king. This is why we use landing pages, and I'll show you that in just a second. But you always want to put at least 3 creatives in there, 3 images. because one is always going to work better. I mean, right here, you can see the top one is $9. It's only done once, so we let that run a little longer. The second one's at $23, and then the bottom one's at 34. So obviously what we're going to do is shut off that bottom one and let the other two start going, and then we'll replace that one that's not doing well with a new one. You need to give Meta and Instagram a couple of images for it to test. Never do one, always do three. And again, that's one of those things with Instagram that might change tomorrow. It might change in 6 months. It used to be good to have 5 like a year ago. Now it's 3. We haven't seen anything better from having 4, 2, 1, 5, but 3 is the magic number for the moment. And then always split testing on your landing page or your website if you can. Again, it's a lot harder on websites. It's not something that they usually make fairly simple. On landing pages it is. We use Unbounce, that's our landing page builder. But you can see the difference. And I'll show you the difference in this landing page, but it's just a change in the headline. It went from 3.6% to over 9%. So it almost tripled the amount of people that filled out a form just by changing the headline and nothing else on the page. This is the difference. That's it. Experienced professional tattoo artistry versus the Bay Area's top black and gray tattoo artist. And that second one tripled the amount of people that filled out the form. It's one of the cool things about marketing. Small little changes, like the change of the color of a button or a couple of words like this can make a huge difference on how many people fill out the form. The IG campaign types that matter. We kind of covered this. So just want to say, like, IG's algorithm is smart. If you haven't seen The Social Dilemma on Netflix, I recommend watching it. This is what I do for a living. I uninstall Facebook and Instagram for like a year on my phone after I watch this because it's creepy how much they know about you. But essentially let it do its thing. I know there can be like, okay, well, if traffic is going to send more people to my landing page, then wouldn't I want to use that over leads? I mean, that makes sense. But with how much Meta knows about us, it knows when somebody is looking for a tattoo shop. It's extremely smart. They know everything about us. So use the one that is going to get the result you want, not the one that you think is going to drive the most people to it. And again, IG knows all. It's pretty creepy, but they do. Tracking codes or cookies are everywhere. And again, if you haven't seen The Social Dilemma, it's a good documentary. I think it's only about an hour, but it's old execs and people from like Instagram, Gmail, Meta that have come out and are kind of fighting against how much they know about us. Because like there's a guy that used to work for Gmail, and his department's only job was to make people check their email more often during the day, because then they can sell ad space, and that's what makes them money. But it's fairly creepy. If someone clicks on another tattoo shop's ad, Meta knows they are in the market for a tattoo shop, and then they will show them your ad. One of the, goods and bads about this, because other people will see yours. The bad part is if somebody clicks on your ad and there's another shop in your area running ads, then they'll show them their ad. Within a minute at most. Probably they'll scroll, they'll see 2 or 3 ads, and then they'll see the next one. Which is why speed to lead, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but getting a hold of somebody really fast is extremely important anytime somebody is coming from an advertisement. Okay, so let's talk about iOS and the future of Instagram ads. One in the chat, if you know what iOS or have heard of iOS 14. 2, if you do not. I'm just curious because I feel like a lot of it wasn't really advertised too much. Okay, yeah. So iOS 14 was an update that Apple put out September 16th, 2020. And essentially what it did is it blocked Meta's Pixel from being able to send information back to Meta. So you didn't know how much your leads were costing. You didn't know what was happening after somebody left your website. Android hasn't done this. They said they're probably going to, but again, originally they said they were going to in 2022, so who knows? But essentially killed iOS tracking, or it killed Meta tracking for quite a while. There's workarounds, like we have a system that manually sends it back to Meta, so Meta will know, and it's actually better than the Pixar dataset was. But this is one of those things with not putting all your eggs in one basket, because for about 6 months after iOS 14 came out, I mean, it was chaos. All of a sudden, you couldn't track 50% of the people that were clicking on your ad and going to it and either purchasing something or not. And it massively raised the amount of money it costs to get somebody to purchase from you or to set up a tattoo, because Meta wasn't able to see who was actually filling out forms, and so it couldn't use its algorithm to find the best people. So with these, you do at least a little bit need to kind of keep up on the changes that are being made with advertising. iOS 14 was one of the biggest things. It's not like this stuff happens all the time. And after about 6 months, we had ways around it. But it hurt a lot of businesses really, really bad. I mean, in all different industries when they did this. And I know a lot of people that were only running Meta ads, Instagram ads, and they got their asses kicked for like 6 months and they lost a ton of money. So it's one of those things, just knowing that you have multiple sources to get new people in your shop, obviously word of mouth, but like Google ads, TikTok, with how much they're trying to make changes and ban it or have an American company buy it. It's something that has not really been, we haven't done a lot with it because the changes with that is happening so fast. But just good stuff to know. Okay, so the follow-up process. This is where a lot of shops will fall short. And again, you're tattoo artists, you're shop owners, you're not salesmen. You don't want to be salesmen, so it's not a surprise. And typically, what we see is if we can get somebody in the shop in front of an artist, for the most part, they're able to get that deposit and get them in their chair. The bridge we needed to the gap we needed to bridge was people filling out the form and then actually showing up to the shop or being reached out to and the shop having a conversation. So we'll go over what needs to be done, and then we'll go over how it can be automated for the most part, or actually all of it. Because what we do is marketing. From the time somebody fills out the form, it's not a marketing thing anymore, it's a sales thing. So this is the follow-up process. This is a huge study that was done by Microsoft. We actually changed it to the numbers we see in our data for the tattoo industry and the shops that we work with. But 84% of shops will give up after trying to contact somebody one time. So somebody fills out a form or leaves a message, 84% of shops will either call, text, or email once, and then that's it. And if they don't hear back, then whatever it is, what it is. 92% of shops will give up after the second time, 97% after 4 times, which is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. We have a lot of automations, and you would be amazed at how many people don't reply to the first text we send out, but they'll reply to the second or the third or the fourth. We'll send out 7 touch points in the first 2 weeks, and then we'll put them into like a long-term email sequence. They get an email from you guys. But you would be amazed at how many people will respond to the later texts. Like, stuff happens. I mean, you're busy. It's how people are, especially if you're not able to get to these people within 5 minutes of them either calling your shop or filling out a form. Is a very, very small chance you're going to get a hold of them the first time you try to contact them. So ways to contact: calls. Obviously, the easiest to get somebody in your shop is when you can get them on the phone. But it can be hard to get people to pick up. One of the things that we do, and we recommend you guys do, is when somebody fills out that form on your website, or if there's a missed call, we have a text that goes out that says, hey, we'll get back to you as soon as we can. This is our shop number. Save it in your phone as our shop name. Because that way they at least know it's the shop calling back. Because if I don't know a number, I will not pick it up. And 90% of people these days are the same way. Text is the best way to contact somebody because you know they're going to get it as long as they give you the right number. And you know it's going to be seen very quickly. Email, if you are running ads and you are sending email correspondence back and forth to try to book somebody, stop. For the love of God, stop. We see less than 9% success rate when people from paid ads are contacted by email and tried to book, and there's all this back and forth. It just takes too long. Again, people have a short attention span. Out of a business setting, people under 45 don't email. I mean, it's just the way it is now. But if you're having issues getting a hold of people when you're emailing back and forth, and you're emailing, switch to something else. I guarantee you see a huge difference. Now, I do want to point out, if somebody comes from word of mouth or they're a past client or something like that, there's a lot more patience with the shop, and there's much higher likelihood that they will email back and forth with you guys because they already know, like, and trust you. But if you're running paid ads and you're doing it correctly, you're not getting your past clients back in. You're getting people that don't know your shop, which is what you want. That's the whole point. So they don't know, like, trust you. I mean, they obviously like your work, but they don't have a high tolerance for this being this long, drawn-out process. Even if you tell them to check their email after they fill out a form, it's a very, very low likelihood you'll hear back from them. And to kind of illustrate that, this is my actual email. I have over 50,000 unread emails in my personal email box. My mom emails me there, and a lot of the time she'll text me or call me a couple days later. Did you get my email? I was like, I don't. And it's not that I don't check it every once in a while. It's that it gets buried so fast, and there's just better ways to get a hold of people. If somebody really wants to get a hold of me, they'll text me or they'll call me. Email outside of a professional workplace is just, it doesn't work well. It doesn't work well. Even with people that have already come in or that have been referred to your shop, you'll see a much bigger drop off on them actually coming in if that emailing back and forth takes more than like a day or two. Again, people get frustrated, they get bored. It happens all the time. Okay, so on this topic, speed to lead. We're already at 50 after. I'll try to go a little quicker, guys, so we can get to the actual. No matter how long it takes, I'll do everything, but get to actually building out an ad so you guys can see how it's done. Okay, so speed to lead. You are 9 times more likely to get a hold of somebody who fills out a form if you text them or call them in under 5 minutes versus over 10 minutes. You are 9 times more likely to get a hold of that person if you text them within 5 minutes, text or call, versus over 10 minutes, it sounds absolutely insane. Like, there's no way that's possible. We see it all the time. We have the data that backs this up. And there have been a ton of studies done on this by like Salesforce and these gigantic companies, which is why speed to lead is absolutely huge. It's absolutely huge. If you can get to somebody within 5 minutes, you're going to notice a huge difference in how much the shop makes, how much the artists make. We have an over 90% contact rate from paid ads when people are contacted within 5 minutes. 78% of people are going to choose the first shop they talk to from a paid ad. 15% will choose the second or third, and 7% will choose the fourth. So if you're thinking about running Google ads, and like I said, that person doesn't get a hold of you, they're not going to wait for you to call back. They're just going to call the next shop. Or on Meta, if somebody fills out a form from Instagram and they don't hear from you soon and they see that next shop's ad and that shop gets to them faster, 78% chance they're going to go with that shop, unless the owner's a complete jackass, whoever calls them. That's why this stuff is huge. Now, I know the thing is, how the fuck can I do all that? It's a lot. Following up that many times, being able to get to, realistically, no tattoo artist, no shop owner is going to be able to get to everybody within 5 minutes. So there's a few different things you can do. First, we're not affiliated with High Level. We use High Level for all the shops we work with. But it's a really, really powerful tool, and it's $97 a month. One of the things you can do with this software is you can bring in all your calls, your texts, your DMs, your Google My Business messages into one space. So you're not checking all these different spots to try to get to people. And you get a notification when it comes in, if it's an email, if it's a text, if it's a DM from Instagram or Facebook. So putting all your communication in one place, especially if you have like a front desk person that can watch it, is huge. Or at least making sure you get a notification when somebody comes in here. It's really big. And then this is the other thing. This is our AI booking bot, and I'll run you through it. It's been a giant game changer for the shops that we have implemented this in. And essentially, like I said, it is a bot that uses Chat GPT-4. You're not going to restart? Okay. Well. And we'll actually reach out to people and contact them and book a consultation based on what your calendar says you have open. Which again, absolutely huge. This bot will always reach out within a minute of somebody filling out a form, which again gets that speed to lead, and that's why it has an over 90% contact rate. We'll show you, I'll give you an example of the conversation, and I'll show you where you can go to build your own. Or again, if you work with us, we include this, but this never leaves. Like, it's not like a front desk person doesn't leave. It doesn't need to go get tattooed, or it's not work, like talking to somebody. It doesn't need to check the phone to make sure it missed the call. Like, every single time it reaches out in 1 minute, and it's extremely friendly. Front desk people sometimes are not always the most friendly. So if this is your first point of contact with somebody and the person perceives you as being rude or uninterested, if you have a high no-show rate for consultations from ads, that is why. And it's typically not that people like are actually mad, especially artists and stuff. They're just busy. And so it comes off as them being short when they're texting. So this person has filled out, and this is an actual conversation that happened through one of our ads for one of the shops we work with. This person had filled out a form with all of their information, style, placement, reference images, timelines, stuff like that. So the bot reaches out and says, hey, this is Val from Space Wizard Tattoo. Looks like you're interested in coming for a consultation. He answers, yep, Wednesday or Friday. So it looks at the calendar and says, oh, we do have those open. Yeah, we can do Wednesday or Friday. And now it's going to start building rapport. It's going to ask them about their idea. And it makes people feel special. It makes, like, for you, it's another day doing tattoos. Like, it's just another day. It's another day at work. For them, this is something that they're getting on the body for the rest of their life from somebody they, if they're coming through my ad, don't know. So actually taking a little bit of time to ask them about their idea and say it's cool and stuff like that makes a world of difference. A world of difference. So this guy, so it asks if he has any ideas or still brainstorming. This guy wants some tattoos on his left arm. Essentially wants to make it into a sleeve. It's all about he wants it to flow. And the best thing about that is that it responds to what he says. It's not a pre-programmed bot that's just going to give A, B, C. Again, you just chat GPT-4 Turbo. It's extremely smart. While you're looking at this, if you didn't know it was a bot, let me know if you think it was a bot. So he wants that to get that sleeve, everything filled in to make a sleeve. He wants it to flow. Totally makes sense. Sleeves are all about the flow. We can help you finalize the design. So it's started to build that rapport. It's checked off that objective, and now it's going to actually start going into the booking. And so we always want to ask if it's a week or weekend. It looks at the calendar, gives him a couple of times. He confirms, let's shoot for Friday at 12:30. He will now get a confirmation, and he will get reminder texts. So he'll get a text 1 day before, 4 hours before, and 1 hour before. So if somebody shows up, it's not because they forgot. It books it, and then it lets him know Friday 12:30 is yours. See you then. Bring any reference pics you have, and we'll get that sleeve flowing. Again, it's referencing back what he wanted. Put a 1 in the chat if you think that sounds like a bot. Put a 2 if you do not. Like, it's epic. It's nuts. So it's essentially, this is a bot that will do this 24/7. I mean, we shut it off in the middle of the night, so it doesn't seem super weird, but it sounds like just a really friendly front desk person. Oh, cool. Shut that off. All right. What did I just do? Cash start. All right. Okay. Is that in the message app? No, so it's not built into the app. It's actually, so it's called CloseBot, which is right here. And that's $80 a month. It works with high level, and that's how it can respond to texts, emails, DMs, stuff like that. And you can hire somebody to actually build the bot out. Obviously, we have ours built out, and we built out our own specifically because we need it for tattoo shops. And again, we're not affiliated with any of these guys. So, you know, and if you work with us, we build out a bot for you for free. But it's a game changer when you have this person at the front desk. Like, this sets over 70% of the people that come in. It books consultations with them, which if you run paid ads that's really high, really, really high. And so it pays for itself, I mean, in the first tattoo. So recommend it. I'm sure there's cheaper people that can build it out too, but it's such a game changer. It's been pretty awesome. All right, let's actually build out an ad. Share my screen again. Stop sharing, share screen. Okay, so we're actually going to build out an ad really quick in the manager, and I will show you exactly how we do it. I mean, you guys can copy this if you want. It's, you know, we had somebody that was worried, well, hey, if you let people copy it, it's not going to work anymore. Like, there's so many tattoo shops. Like 50 tattoo shops using the same campaign is not going to, it's not even going to dent the surface. So it's not an issue. Okay. So first thing we're gonna do is create an ad. We're gonna do leads. So we always do the manual lead campaign, and that's how we will set all of this up. Again, if you do tailored lead, like let them take care of it, you're just losing out on more options. So we do stuff as manual as possible. It makes it easier for people with, obviously, if Facebook or Google with their smart mode and boosted campaigns, like anybody can do it, but it never works even close to as well. So this is what you'll see. We always just put in the date. Is it the 15th? Wrong year, close. And then you're done with this first part. So this is the campaign, this is the ad set, and then these are the ads. So this is where the magic starts to happen. Website, because that's how we do it. We're always going to send somebody to a landing page to fill out a form. You need a pixel in here. Again, you can YouTube how to do it. It's simple. Put in your budget. And now we get down to the targeting stuff. And again, because Meta is always trying to make stuff, we'll try to make them more money. They try to make things simpler and simpler and take away the targeting options for people. So we're going to edit this. This is the location. We'll just say Seattle. And depending on what you're doing, I mean, if you only do specialized large scale stuff, we suggest having a bigger radius. If you're a shop that can do, or there's like a street shop that does anything that walks through the door, you don't need as big of a radius. So we'll do 10 miles. And again, if you're in somewhere like Brooklyn or something like that, or Manhattan, like you don't want 25 miles because it's going to take a person 3 freaking hours to get there. So I was in Manhattan for the first time being in New York like 2 months ago. I was 2.9 miles from Central Park, and the Uber said it would take 30 minutes. That blew my freaking mind. But anyway, want to switch to audience, original audience options. And again, this is where the power is. And again, they want you to use their stuff because it's easier and it's going to make them more money. It's not what we want. If you have a lookalike audience, it'll pop up in here. There's not much because this is a demo ad. If you do not, we want to make changes down here. If you have a lookalike audience, don't mess with the age, the gender, anything like that. Just let it do its thing. But you can obviously go in by income. But if you don't, we do 28 to 55. The only time we'll go outside of this is if we start to have a really, really small audience of about under 100,000 people for this. Targeting, tattoo. So you can put in one and then click suggestions. And we'd like to just grab a couple of the biggest ones. Okay, so we're down to 140. Now, if we want to go to by income too, this is how we do it. Even if you have a lookalike audience and you don't change any of this upper part, this is how you go to income. You hit define further and then income. And you can do, so these are all separate too. So if you click 25 to 50, you still need to click the rest of them if you want all this. All right, so now we're down to about 77,000 to 91. We probably want that a little bit bigger. We'll actually make this a little lower since it's high income. Maybe move this to, yeah, and then that's good. I mean, you can do up to 500,000 people just depending on how populated your area is. After 500,000, you tend to go a little bit too broad. Placement, here is another thing good to know. Advanced is going to show it absolutely everywhere. Manual, you can pick where your placement is. If you only want to run this on Instagram, which is what we're going to do because this is on Instagram, this class, we can get rid of Facebook, the audience network, Messenger, and then so now it's only going to show on the Instagram platform. You can do all of them. Depending on the area, I mean, we split test this all the time. Sometimes it works better as Advanced Plus, where you let them pick the placement. Sometimes it works better as just Instagram. And even when you do Advanced Plus, the weird part is it will still show the majority of the ads on Instagram, a little bit on Facebook, a little bit on Audience Network. But that's how you do that. Next. Dave, yeah, I'll send it to you. One. And so this is where you want to have at least 3 ads set up. Come down here to actually build out this ad. I've got some stuff over here already. And again, you guys can obviously change the location, but copy and paste this and it works. So always call out the area. Call out the location. It makes a huge, huge difference. Again, one of those things we've actually split tested. And then we always do 2 headlines. Come down here. This is where you're going to throw your website, which I didn't put. So let's just do. Now make sure none of these are checked because this is the stuff we don't want. Calls, instant experience, unless you're doing an actual event. Sometimes the form will pop up down here, but we don't want any of this stuff. And the last part is we're going to throw in media. Now I get the question all the time, photos or videos or reels or stuff like that. We've tested this. There's been a lot of money behind this testing. Still images at this point always work better than videos. Like 2 years ago, videos worked better than stories, and now all ads I'm sorry, work better than videos. And now all the ads you see out there are videos. So we don't want to be the same as everybody else. We want to disrupt. And the entire point of this image, the entire point of this ad is to get somebody to click. So the entire point of this image is to get somebody to stop scrolling. The entire point of the words is to get somebody to click on it and go to the landing page. But everything that we do is just to get somebody to the next step. And then the landing page, the only point of that is to get somebody to actually fill out the form. Next, always check in here because it'll do this. You got to go back and hit original. Done. And then we're going to just come up here. So this ad is built out. It's good to go. We're going to come up here and we're going to duplicate it twice. So now we have our 3 ads. And I always name this like what the image is. We're going to change out the image, leave everything else the same. And that's it. Your ad is built and you're ready to come up here, click publish, and let it run. Couple things to note. If you're going to test different images, everything else has to be the same. If you find a winning image and you want to test different headlines or different text, all the images need to be the same image. Because if you make multiple changes, you don't know what's working and what's not working. It needs to be one test at a time. Don't unless you're literally just have no clue what's going on and you just need something to work, then you can do completely different styles. And then off of that, pick the winner and start doing those split tests. But that is how you do that. Single image. And yes, we'll send you the beginning or the whole thing with the beginning. Yes, always a single image. We've tested carousels. We've tested multiple images. It just doesn't work as well. You would think a carousel would work better. So we don't just do these tests once and then like, oh, it doesn't work, we'll never do it again. If it doesn't work, we'll still go back a couple months later and test it again. Because again, they're always making changes in the background. At some point, video is going to work again better than still images. At some point, a carousel probably will work better. But as of right now, still images work the best. And a few things I do want to point out is, again, on this, we're actually calling out, let me make it bigger. We're actually calling out the area. So for me, it would be Wenatchee tattoo lovers, stuff like that. Always call out your area. And then who you want to see it. Seattle tattoo lovers, Seattle tattoo enthusiasts, stuff like that. Calling out your audience. And again, I say this because we've tested it, always works better. And again, all these templates are super easy to make. You can copy and paste this. I don't give a shit. We make them in Canva. And I think there's a free version where you get like 90% of what's there. But again, it's definitely worth doing. Let me share my screen again really quick. Okay, so that's our presentation. I'm going to talk about what we do. You don't have to stay, obviously, and then I'll talk about it, and then I'll answer any questions anybody has. But now's your chance to get out, so you don't have to hear the sales pitch. I used to never do these at the end, and then I got my butt chewed by my mentor. He's like, you gotta at least tell them what you do. All right, fair enough, and how much we cost. So everything we've talked about is obviously stuff we do. We build out the landing pages, we build out the bots. If you're not using an online waiver or an online consent form, we'll build one out for you. And one of the super cool things you can do with that, and if you have an online consent form, you should be doing this. When somebody fills it out, have an automation set up so they get a text the next day asking for a review on Google. Works really, really well. Artists never want to ask for them reviews if they feel awkward doing it, which is understandable. But that's a really, really good way to do it. We also do some more advanced bots that we're building currently. So again, when there's a missed call, this bot will be able to reach out. It will essentially, if anybody comes through your shop's Instagram, messages the shop, calls the shop, and it's not picked up, this bot will reach out and actually build rapport with them, and again, get them into your shop. That picture or that conversation we went through is a typical conversation. I didn't cherry pick that. I could show you literally 1,000 more that are along the same line. It never says the same thing twice, but it's extremely, extremely powerful. Let's see. Yeah, so, and those are our prices. We include ad spend in that. And yeah, if you are interested, you can scan that and set up a conversation with us. Again, if you can't really tell, we're not really a high pressure sales company. So if it's a good fit, if it's good, cool. If not, not a big deal. With that, what questions do you guys have? No questions? It'll be the first time ever nobody's had a question. Still would love an a la carte. Yeah, I know. Maybe someday. Maybe someday. We currently don't. It's something we've been talking about doing, though, is actually just selling the bot. If you want to set up a call with us, we can figure something out. Yeah, the booking bot's pretty awesome. Yeah, again, it's something we talked about, just building that bot out if you already have a high level account, and then we can implement it in your stuff. So sweet. Yep, I can definitely do that. There you go. If you guys want to screenshot that too. Cool, sounds good, Jimmy. Yes, we do work with international studios. We have shops in the UK, New Zealand, and Australia currently. Oh, and one in, not Germany, freaking Austria. Yeah, Austria. So yes, we do. It's definitely still good to have an email list. We do use email just kind of as a reminder that you're there. So if somebody doesn't respond after they fill out the consultation request, and it's been that 2 weeks, we'll send them an email every month, just like a newsletter with a little bit of information, or if you have any guest artists coming up. And I would still do this with all your past clients, even if you have that email list. It's definitely worth doing. It's just not the most effective way to get in front of somebody. Like, you're not going to have a very big response to emails versus text, which is why, if you notice, like when you sign up for this webinar or you do anything with us, you'll get text from us. We'll send emails as well, but we can see how many people respond to text versus email. And yeah, emails, like I said, about 9% for us, for all our clients. Text is much, much higher, but it's still definitely worth doing. James, yes, we do work with a couple individual artists. We have some guys that just do, or I got 2 guys that just do geometric stuff. A few guys that do some bigger pieces. Yes, keep the same headline if you have 3 different images, because then you don't know if it's the headline that's, oh, are you talking about on the landing page? No, that can be done at the same time. You just don't want different stuff on the same platform, because like if you use a landing page builder, then yeah, just do one thing at a time. Either just do the image, or just do the headline, or just do the text. And I mean, realistically, after you spend $150, maybe a little more, $200 to $300, you're going to know which one the winner is. And then you can take that winner and you can start testing the next thing that you want to. 3 a.m. That's impressive. Yeah, I hope it was helpful, and we'll chat soon. Anybody else have any more questions? Awesome. Well, I hope this was helpful, guys. Feel free to reach out. Even if you don't not interested in working with us, if you just have a question about this, you can send us a message on Instagram or shoot us a text to that number that you got the webinar stuff from, and we'll get back to you. Yeah, with that, hope this was helpful, and chat with you guys later.